Young men are now single at a alarming rate. 63% of young men are single, which is sky high and more than it's ever been. And if I was to dive into it, I offer up three major causes for why young men are now single. And I break them down into bad product, bad distribution and marketing, or bad company morale. And let's dive into each of them because I think we will all see ourselves in this somewhere, and it might be one of them where you're failing, or it could be a whole range of them. I know for certain my younger self was probably failing at all three. So, first one, bad product. Pretty self-explanatory that men right now are probably not as high caliber as we could be. That we're very much leaning into all the bad habits of the pornography, the overconsumption of food, technology, whatever you want to be. And this has been done to death. So I'm not going to fly off the handle here of just like, oh yeah, men need to up their game, all that sort of stuff. It's been done before. The next two, I think, are where it gets more interesting. One of the big drivers for men being single, in my eyes, is this bad distribution and marketing that you might actually be quite a decent guy. You might actually have a fair amount going for you. You know, you hit the gym, you've got a good career going, maybe you've got a side business, it's all right. And you still can't quite figure out what's going on. Like, why am I single? Like, I seem to be a decent guy. But then when I speak to these guys, I ask them, just how many girls do you actually encounter on a weekly basis that you don't know already? And it's always less than 5. It's usually less than 2. Most guys now encounter maybe like 2 girls from the office. They know like Claire and Sarah, who likely already have a boyfriend, and then nowhere else in their life do they actually encounter anybody new. So on a sheer logical standpoint, where's this relationship meant to come from? I think most men just default to then using apps, which I have huge grievances with. I'm sure you can see that in any other video, but they don't work in your favour. They're not interested in finding you in a match. They're interested in taking money from you. So fundamentally, that should not be your avenue. And that is, once again, bad marketing and distribution. That is turning up to the most hyper state of competition where you've got the least amount of USP. How do you manage to stand out when the competition is so fierce and you only have a couple of photos to work with? A girl can't get a sense for who you are as a person through that. So it's awful marketing strategy to put all your eggs in this one distribution bracket of let's just find a girl through a dating app. So if you're single, ask yourself this: how many new girls do I encounter every single week? Because what I've learned is, it's not sexy to say this, but relationships are a numbers game. We just need to meet enough people to find someone that we're compatible with. And it's not an extraordinary amount of people. I managed to find on a night out, if I spoke to 5 girls, one of them would usually be interested. It only takes 5, but think about how many times have you spoken to 5 different girls in the same period? It'll basically be never. I get it is more difficult now. We haven't got as active a social life, that maybe clubs aren't quite as prevalent as they used to be. And by that, I don't mean, oh my God, I nearly said discotheque. Shit, that makes me sound old. Clubs where we go, drink, sing to Taylor Swift, obviously. Jesus. Then we don't have the same situation or setup where we'd have these wide-ranging networks of where we'd have all these activities that we do, because we just don't need to. We now have technology and we can just reside on the internet now instead, which limits our sheer number of encounters, because one of the greatest things that you need when trying to find a partner is just simply proximity. Like, when you go to university, you are in a really perfect spot for meeting girls because you're just constantly encountering new people. And this is why so many relationships start there, versus when you're in any other kind of setup, it's just like the average guy, other than the workplace, which is now post Me Too riddled with issues of trying to find that new partner. it really sets up this dynamic where even if you have got this high quality product, well, there's no one out there. You're not showing it to anyone. You could have the best business tool in the world, but if you don't show it to anyone, you're not going to make any sales. So really consider in your life, how much are you encountering new girls? I've done videos before where I break down the best places to go. Even tonight, I'm taking a client and we're going to salsa dancing because I know for a fact there's just a bunch of girls there that we've never met before. And I get to learn a skill on the side. Absolute win. Next, I call it bad company morale. And this is where you can be a guy that has a great product. You're a great guy, top lad. And then you also do put yourself out there. Maybe you encounter quite a lot of girls, but it still doesn't quite seem to happen for you. How I describe this, how I describe this is bad company morale, because then it is a internal psychological ethos that you have around yourself. It's likely that you don't feel good enough, you don't feel deserving of a girlfriend, so you've started to self-sabotage, and you probably, even when the opportunities maybe arise, you don't really take them, you don't really leap at it. There might be some sort of fear and apprehension there, especially if you've not had many relationships in your life. Maybe the pursuit of that can get in your way, and the way that we see ourselves is hugely important, because we are the leaders of that interaction. And if we don't believe in ourselves, then they're never going to either. The girl follows the lead. Salsa references, obviously. And if we can't have that strong company values and morale, then she's not really going to be interested, because there's going to be something that's off. So if you have those first two in check, it's time to do more of a deeper inspection of what's going on internally for you, that there's something going wrong where you're self-sabotaging. This might be where you need to expose yourself to sort of new people or someone that you can trust, and dive into that a bit more of what is holding you back. Is it an apprehension about getting into a relationship because you're maybe not as experienced as you could be, or that you think you'll mess it up, so you choose not to even start? I do truly believe that if a guy is single, it's one of these three areas, and it could be multiple. Like younger me, Jesus, yeah, he had the morale issue that he definitely self-sabotaged himself with girls. He'd deliberately not text them back in a way that led them to sort of drifting apart. He wasn't the most high value guy either, so his product wasn't great. I think the only thing he maybe did have going for him was being at university, you do get a higher amount of contacts, so your distribution is not too bad. But then before that, no girls. So yeah, also this is now my current setup because I managed to break my lapel mic. So this is what we're going to do for a little while. And yeah, if we can then look into those three areas and dissect where is the problem, where does it lie, and then force through that correction. Because I guarantee for men, if you're single, it's rooted in one of these three areas.